Everybody sees it and knows it. Everybody sees this inflation, right? High inflationary rates, CPI reports, government raises interest rates. But guess what? We have very low unemployment. So you look at the unemployment report that came out on June 3rd. We're about due for a new one here soon. But guess what? Right now we have pretty good inflation. I mean, inflation is doing pretty good. The Federal Reserve is chasing behind these interest rates by shooting up interest rates. But what is next? We always talk about what is next. We already know the market is a leading indicator. But guess what? Next up is stagflation. I know you guys and girls are probably like, what is stagflation? Prince, what does that mean? But you're tuned into the right episode. Make sure you share this with your friends and all the good stuff like that. And as we buckle our seatbelts and talk about stagflation and what does it mean and how to invest in stagflation. But ladies and gentlemen, if you haven't done so already, I know what time it is. Please go ahead and make sure. Hit the subscribe button. Hit the bell icon. Hit that like, comment, and share button. Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, and children, ladies, you're now tuned into the Investor Show. As always, this is your gracious host, the Prince of Investing, Prince Dykes, coming to you guys and girls live all the way from the beautiful city and states of Denver, Colorado. Don't forget to hit that like, subscribe, comment, share button, and turn those notifications on so you know every time I drop something new. I've been gone for a while, but I'm back in it. But as always, I don't have a lot of time, and I definitely know you guys and girls don't have a lot of time. So we're going to do what? We're going to jump straight into it. So ladies and gentlemen, stagflation. The first thing everybody want to ask is, how do we get here? Let's walk down this timeline about stagflation. So the first thing is lowering interest rates. Y'all remember when we lowered those interest rates? Remember back during the pandemic? If you are catching this live, go ahead and drop a live comment so I can give you guys and girls a shout out. Tell me where you're from, where you may be checking in from. Okay, somebody on Facebook. Okay, what's going on there? Now, so with lower interest rates, ladies and gentlemen, y'all remember back in the pandemic, we was already in a lower interest rate society. But the Federal Reserve, what did they do by lowering interest rates? Lowering interest rates was a way to spurt the economy. So how do we spurt the economy? You lower interest rates. This encourages businesses to borrow. This encourages businesses to invest. It disencourages people to save because savings accounts earn less money. So now it encouraged people to borrow money and to invest money. And in return, by companies investing money and borrowing money, it expands the economy. It hires more people. It increases the demand for goods and services, and it increases output. Because when a company invests more, they can create more, they hire more people. When people are hired, they spend more money. All those things are things to stimulate the economy, parts of the tools of the Federal Reserve that we saw during the height of the pandemic, March of 2020, which goes into the book I'm reading right now, The $1 Trillion Triage. Shout out to Jay Powell. So that's what the Federal Reserve did. The next phase is now we're in a situation. The downside of lower interest rates is you increase the demand for goods and services. Once you increase demand for goods and services, now you run into something called inflation, right? When the demand out increases the supply. You know, everybody knows we have a supply chain issue, getting supplies in. You go to Lowe's. One time I went to Lowe's like a month or two ago. They went in there. They just told me, yeah, we ain't got it. We don't know where the screws at. The screws was empty. This was empty. Everybody know the price to get things is pretty tough right now. So when you have supply that is the same or decreasing, but you have demand increasing, what is that going to do to prices? That's going to raise prices. So now we're in a situation where we're like, oh my God, we have 8.6% inflation. Ladies and gentlemen, I'm telling you, our inflation is higher than that because our inflationary reports, I think it was 8.6 or 8.9, our inflationary reports don't include fuel and food. So fuel and food, because it says too volatile, but food and fuel is where most of the inflation is. So right now we had inflation at 8.6%. The Federal Reserve goal is to have inflation at 2%. So we're way higher than inflation. We're way higher than the Federal Reserve goal for inflation. So what does the Federal Reserve do in order to curb inflation? They raise interest rates, just like we saw 75 base points about a week or two ago here that we reported the Federal Reserve did. Why did they do that? That's the largest hike they did in 20 or 30 years, if I'm not mistaken. And they did this because inflation is continuing to rise. Now, what is the downside of raising interest rates? Interest rates tighten up the money supply, is built to slow down the economy, is built to make money hard to borrow, suck money out of the economy. Also, nobody talks about this. The Federal Reserve is also reducing its balance sheets. That's something that people kind of forget about, right? That's the gem right there. The Federal Reserve is reducing the balance sheets. Now, during 2020, the Federal Reserve was adding to its balance sheets, meaning buying assets, aka buying bonds, buying stocks, pumping $95 billion a month into the stock market as part of a stimulus package. Now, the Federal Reserve is reducing the balance sheets. It is doing the opposite. It is selling those stocks that it brought and all those things like that. So, with these rising interest rates, they are now selling stocks, selling bonds. They're raising the interest rates, tightening up the money. If you're a company and it becomes harder to borrow money and money has become more expensive, let's say you have $20,000 on your credit card that a company owes. Now the interest rates are going up because guess what? CDs are going up, savings accounts are going up, but it's bad for companies who have a lot of debt on the books, which means you have companies like technology companies usually carry a lot of debt. So now money is becoming hard to borrow. Money is starting to tighten up. Money is becoming more expensive to borrow. Guess what companies start to do? They don't expand as much. They don't hire as many people. They start to lay off people. You guys, girls, seen it. Here's this next topic. You guys and girls seen this. Here it is. How many people seen people getting laid off? How many people seen people getting laid off? How many people seen people start to lose their job or companies start to slow down on the hiring? See, right now, everybody's saying there's a tight labor market. A tight labor market is a market where it is hard to find people unemployed. Look at McDonald's, they're paying $18 an hour. Amazon, at least $15 to $20 an hour. And people are jumping from job to job. I won't call the organization's name, but it's a company where it's a director position. Every 2 to 3 months, they got a new director. Why? It's hard to keep people. People will take a job right now because you're paying $25 an hour. Next thing you know, boom, somebody's paying $25 an hour. Right now, it is in the hand of the employee. The employee has all the power right now. They can go and come as they choose. They can go here, there. They can name their price. They can name a higher price. All those things like that. Ladies and gentlemen, I'm saying all this to tell you this is about to change because now when companies stop hiring, when companies slow down hiring, now we're going to run into what we call stagflation. Now, when companies are slowing down the output, you hear everybody saying recession is coming, recession is coming, recession is coming. A recession is coined as 2/4 of a declining GDP. So if you were a company right now, would you be looking to expand or would you be looking to retract in these current economical standards where you're seeing interest rates run crazy, you're seeing inflation run crazy? We don't have stagflation right now because I have right pulled up behind me. This is the May unemployment report. Unemployment is only at 3.6%. Unemployment is pretty good. So right now, unemployment is doing pretty good, but we have high inflation. But in order to curb the high inflation, we're raising interest rates. As we raise those interest rates to slow down inflation and to slow down the output, guess what? You're going to see unemployment start to tickle up. Stagflation is coined as having an economy where the output is slowing down, when you have high inflation, and you have high unemployment. Unemployment is coming. Rising unemployment is coming. Now, I'm not going to say everybody's going to be unemployed. Unemployment is going to hit the double digits. I'm not saying all that, but it has to rise up to curb inflation. With interest rates going up, we're going to curb down inflation, but that's what happened back in the late 70s. Go back to the late 70s and all those things like that. You'll see what Paul Volcker did when he raised the interest rates all the way up to 20%. Now, Prince, great job on what you said. That, ladies and gentlemen, if you're catching this live and you like the content that I'm putting out, make sure you hit that thumbs up button. That helps out with the algorithm and whatever. I'm always out of the algorithm. I would like to kind of be in the algorithm or close to it. But if you want to get this content out, help push that thumbs up. Thanks for everybody that's tuning in. Now back to the situation. Now, Prince, cool, we get it. You already talked about inflation, high inflation, how we got here, what the Federal Reserve is doing, how unemployment is going to rise. What am I going to do with my money? Investing in stagflation. Here we go. Investing in stagflation. What are some things that do well in during a stagflation period? Now, a stagflation period, this is the time where we have high unemployment and not high unemployment, but we have nice elevated unemployment and we have elevated inflation. We already got the inflation right now. We just have pretty good unemployment numbers. What's going to happen when we have high unemployment numbers with high inflation? Prince, who's going to do well? I'm looking at consumer staples. Consumer staples, XLP, is the sector, the index. So things like groceries, food, groceries, Lowe's, Home Depot, uh, oil, medical supplies, things that people need. When times get hard, people kind of chill out on the luxury. That's why you're seeing retail get beat up so bad. High inflationary periods, that's why you're seeing Amazon have a hard time. Consumer discretionary right now is having the hardest time. Ladies and gentlemen, keep in contact with the market. The market always is a leading indicator and tell you what is to come. For prime example, if President Biden, God forbid, gets assassinated right now today, the stock market would immediately react. The real estate market is not going to immediately react, right? The job market is not going to immediately react, but the stock market will, meaning it is very sensitive and is a leading indicator, is an indication of what is to come. So now you have, right now you're seeing the market has been down all year, down about 20 something percent, struggling, trying to fight back, things like that. That's because everybody's anticipating what's to come. High inflationary periods, people are expecting Amazon to have lower numbers. They're expecting real estate, not real estate, but not the real estate, but the retail industry, consumer discretion industry to have less numbers. They're expecting leisure and travel to eventually have less numbers because people's disposable income is going to start to dry up. Keep that in mind. So when things become tight, when unemployment starts to rise and layoffs starts to increase, you already saw it, Coinbase laying off this many people because of crypto is getting beat up. You're seeing Amazon laying off this many people. You're already seeing Netflix laying off this many people. This is going to continue. This is part of a slowing economy, ladies and gentlemen. So as these things happen, when I'm finicky about my job, I'm not going to go out there and buy that brand new grill, right? I'm not going to go out there and get that add on to my house. I'm not going to go out here and do certain things. I'm going to become more conservative, ladies and gentlemen. I'm going to become more conservative, meaning that things that I need, food, oil, I'm going to need gas, I'm going to need food, I'm going to need to brush my teeth, soap, things like that. You're going to cut out on the discretionary spending because of inflation, not inflation, because of unknown times and hard times. So consumer discretionary, gold is a big one. Gold, oil, consumer staples, things that are staples, Coca-Cola, people buy food, water, groceries, things like that. That's the sector that does well the state stagflation period. And you're going to see a big spurt in technology in about a year. So right now, everybody's talking about the recession. I think stocks are already in the recession for the last few months they have been. And I think within a year, by next summer, we'll see things start to turn around, especially after this midterm election. Well, ladies and gentlemen, that's my talk there for today. I want to tell you guys and girls, we're in a high inflationary period right now with the Federal Reserve reducing the balance sheets and also chasing down inflation. Next up, you're going to see unemployment. As these unemployment numbers start to come, you're going to see unemployment and layoffs start to increase, pushing us to stagflation, to the level of stagflation. And we just talked about investing in stagflation. We talked about those trillions of dollars that was put in that stimulus package back in 2020, which led us to lowering interest rates, putting out stimulus packages, which led us into 2022 with high inflationary periods and doing the opposite and raising interest rates, which is going to affect unemployment, which is going to have us with high unemployment and high inflation, a repeat of 1979. And we talked about how to invest into this in stagflationary environment. Ladies and gentlemen, that's going to be my time. Until the next video, podcast, cartoon, or whatever's crazy y'all see me doing around the globe. You already know my name. It's Prince Dykes. I'm the Prince of Investing. Until the next video, podcast, cartoon, book, or whatever's crazy you see me do around the globe. Peace, be safe. I'm out, and thank you.